Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're covering the third film in the MCU Spider-Man series, No Way Home.
Yes, finally! Now, after Mysterio reveals his identity, after Mysterio reveals Peter's identity, Peter asks Doctor Strange to create a spell that makes everyone forget he's Spider-Man. But when the spell goes awry, it releases villains from the other Spider-Man universes, forcing Peter to make a hard decision on how to defeat them.
Yes, and before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click notification notifications on future podcasts and Pause videos.
And I know that description sounds pretty mundane and plain, but anyone who's seen this movie knows it's anything but.
Right.
This is, to date, the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time.
Yes. So much happens in this movie. So much of it. There's a lot of action. Actually, a story. Still a great story. Interactions were great. The music was great. Everything about it was just fantastic. No wonder people were going nuts for it after it hit theaters.
So happy we own it.
And it was like the only MCU film of the year that really got a huge reaction like this, because they had like Black Widow, Eternals, a couple of movies that were just kind of come and go, where people were like, oh, okay, I'll watch it and didn't care for it or something. But Spider-Man seemed to be the biggest thing they had that year. There was a red carpet for it, and all the stars there. They were blowing the heck out of it online because, oh, we're dropping the trailer. Oh, get your tickets. Oh, it's coming to the theaters today. You'll get tickets before Christmas.
And it far surpassed the hype and promotion.
Yes.
The ads didn't even live up to the movie itself. It's just fantastic. And so many awesome movies, so many great fight scenes, so many great moments of dialogue and fun moments and heart-wrenching moments.
Yes.
And it just had everything that you want in a movie.
Yes. And we can't go through every single thing, or else this podcast will be as long as the movie itself. But we can always give out like our favorite moments and highlights and what we want to see for the next movies, since they announced they're going to do 3 more Tom Holland movies. So,
and another Marvel and another Andrew Garfield movie.
Yes.
So, let's start at the beginning. How it starts off.
Right. Well, right off from where Far From Home had. Mysterio has a video that showed Peter Parker's identity to the world. And instantly the entire city turns on him!
And the happiest person in the world was Jameson.
Right? I told you! He was a menace! Like, yeah, we know! Shut up!
And you get to see that through it all, Ned and MJ were still by his side, of course. Aunt May, and happy, and that was really good to see.
Right, and the whole time it's just like now he's most wanted because they can't prove he did, and they can't prove he didn't do it. They just kind of assumed it was him because of the rearranged video footage where it made it look like he's the one that caused all the damage and killed Mysterio. Right. So this is sort of what they're dealing with for the first part of the movie.
And then he decides to have a meeting with Doctor Strange.
Yes.
To see can he help him. And while Doctor Strange is attempting to cast the spell, Peter keeps changing the perimeters. And he changes so much that he screws the whole thing up.
Yes. Like, oh, well,
being the teenager that he is.
Oh, well, I want him to remember. Okay, fine. I want him to remember too. Okay. What okay, stop manning things. What about stop?
And by the time you're done with it, he really has screwed it up royally.
I guess, if they said, okay, I want everyone to forget that I'm Spider-Man, except for my friends, my family, and Happy. That's it.
But then it wouldn't have been Peter Parker, this version.
Right.
So.
That would have been, I guess, the end of the movie, and then the end. It's a short film. Everything worked out.
So he got to meet Doctor Strange for the first time.
Yes. Well, after the Infinity War, yes.
First time after Infinity War. And we learn his fate, how things turn out for him. So it's kind of like a prelude to the Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah.
Coming out, the position and what's going on.
Right.
So that was actually a pretty fun way of update without
Right. Right.
So after the snow is passed, I'll just say it. All hell breaks loose.
Yes! And immediately, like not even a minute after watching the spell, all these villains start coming out of the Woolsworth.
And it was awesome. It was fantastic.
Yes, yes. You had Doc Ock come out first of all. You had to bring him out first. And you had Electro, and you had the Lizard, and then you had Green Goblin. It's like, okay.
And Sandman.
Right, it's like everyone's here.
It was fantastic. And the best part is that all the original actors returned to play their roles.
Yeah.
And that really made it fantastic. It was just great. And it's like, I don't think I've been so happy to see villains in a movie in my life.
Right.
Same people come back and reprise them.
Right.
And it was an interesting scripting because, as you know, if you see the other Spider-Man movies, I think all but one of them were dead in their respective
Yeah.
movies.
And they address that in there where this becomes part of the storyline where he tells, in their world, they die fighting Spider-Man. So Peter doesn't want to just send them back and have them get killed, and that's what ends up happening. So he wants to help them, give them another chance where they can maybe take back the powers or reform them, fix them, so they don't have to die when they get back to their own world, in their own movies. So that's actually a pretty interesting idea that they went with, because there might have been people that really like these characters, even though they were villains, and felt like they really got the shaft when they were taken out or killed off too early. So this was an interesting way to rewrite that and give them another chance in this film.
What was also interesting is at first they would assume because they're Peter. They would look at him and realize you're not like Peter, you're not the same Peter. So when they began the process to help them, the first one that he wanted to help, of course, is Octavius.
Right.
His mentor, and he agrees to do it. And it works. And at first, he's freaking out and thinking he's being tricked. And then you see this calm come over him, and it's just a testament to the actor's, brilliance in acting.
Right.
It just is.
Right.
And he feels calm and he's happy, and then he tells the other villains who are still villains, you should do it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the real thing. He's never felt better since before it took over.
Right. And here comes more of the conflict. Pretty much all these guys just want vengeance on Spider-Man up until this point. Doc Ock is better now. He won't say anything for them. The problem is that pretty much the rest of the villains, aside from Green Goblin, who is still dealing with the multiple personality thing, the other three villains are just fine being evil and just want to kill Spider-Man.
And then
Especially Electro. He glowed
up. He had access to everything he wanted. He had more power than he ever had.
He liked being the villain, so he was just some of them tried to sabotage so they didn't get fixed, and then it really starts spiraling even more from there.
And then after this happened, one of the worst parts of the movie is this version of Ant-Man.
Yes,
And we thought she was going to go. They tricked us, like Peter got tricked, and then yes, of course I cried. And it's like,
Yes.
no.
And we realized that she actually ended up saying the line that was learned for Uncle Ben. And that's when we actually learned, right before the movie came out, is that Uncle Ben had been retconned from this version of Spider-Man together, which a lot of people were really upset over because he's such a core part of Spider-Man. And instead, May kind of sort of ended up being like that in the last few moments, which I can agree on. A lot of people don't like Tom Holland's Spider-Man, don't like these movies, but if this was the only thing I could agree on, would be this particular part, because they throw in the line that he's known for, with great power comes great responsibility. And it still holds true, but it felt like it was added kind of last minute because they realized they hadn't said it in the other two films.
And if you think about Aunt May, she's carefree. She was carefree. She did what she wanted. She didn't oppose anything he did. She loved him, but she was really just a lenient, let go.
Yeah.
You're gonna go ahead and have sex? You go ahead. It's
yeah.
like, oh, so
yeah.
it was out of character because it wasn't her character.
Yeah.
And that's what made it unusual.
Yeah.
But we really were sorry that they took her out of this version. It really was like, no, you've taken away his last known family. And we were hoping that in this version, it wouldn't happen.
Right.
She would make it all the way through the entire series.
Right, just like the original movies. And when that happened, it's like, okay, so she takes Uncle Ben's place in being that motivation to do this. So that ended up being one of the hardest parts.
So he's on the run, and when he goes on the run, this is when the magic starts happening because the multiple universe open, and the first one to come through is
Yes.
And I have to say it was good to see him. You see both of the Garfield movies of Spider-Man, and they were the darkest out of the franchise done. We had both of them love them.
Right.
Some people love them, some don't.
Yeah.
And the thing in this one is you can see that they had toned down the darkness, and he fit right into the Spider-Man movie.
Right.
And all I kept thinking is, why did they have to be like Spider-Man like this? You would have loved him on the back. You would have. It was just been a whole different experience.
Why? And I do remember saying in our Amazing Spider-Man podcast that, really didn't like the first one at all. It just didn't feel anything like Spider-Man. I know some people used to a dark Spider-Man, and this was right at home for them, but for me it didn't work. The second one felt like Spider-Man, was great until they got to the end and messed up the whole thing.
And then we did state, and we'll state again, it had nothing to do with Garfield's performance. He was excellent, an excellent actor. It was the writing and the way they chose to have him portrayed.
Right.
But in here, he came out and he knew right away that he was somewhere else, and it wasn't his Peter.
Right.
And he was the unconfident one. He was the one that reflected what a lot of the critics and audience were saying about him not being the favorite and not well liked, and he portrayed it with such sincerity.
Yeah.
And came through like, this is how he really feels. And then you were like, no, we don't, but we love you anyway because you're Spider-Man. And then they made him feel better, and Tobey Maguire was being the Spider Dad.
Right.
It was just, that came later. But yes, Andrew Garfield was fantastic. It was great to see him. And you couldn't stop smiling because you knew there was more happiness to come. And what did you think when you saw him?
Which one? Andrew Garfield. Okay, making sure. Yeah, I thought it was really well done. He was actually hilarious off the bat because you didn't know what to expect. We knew there were going to be all three Spider-Man in here, but we didn't know how they were going to be portrayed. I thought they were going to change him up. They did change him up, but it was for the better. I thought he would come out here brooding like he's Batman or something, but he's, like you said, he sort of was like uneasy because he's like, oh man, no one likes me.
And then we get Tobey Maguire.
Yes.
Which, yes, I started seeing. I was so happy to see him. We both were so happy to see him. And yes, he is Spider Dad.
Yes.
He's the eldest Spider-Man, and he acts like Spider Dad. And it was wonderful. He comes through. And of course, they're all brilliant, but he's the brilliant. He's like, you're not my Peter. I've seen you. You like, oh my goodness.
Right.
He already had known before he came through.
Right.
And he was supportive and encouraging for both of them. And it was like being back with the first Spider-Man movie.
Right.
Not 3, of course. And not 2, of course, but the first movie. And it was just wonderful seeing him in that suit and back in action. And being older and again Spider Dad. There's nothing else you can call him Spider Dad. He was fantastic.
Yes.
And our Peter, we'll say, Tom Holland Peter, was so excited to be with both of them.
Right.
Tell me, what stood out for you for Tobey Maguire returning? There's so many things for me. But I will say being the spider dad and giving the advice and letting them know everything's going to be okay, and he accepted both of them. It's like,
Right.
Oh, it was the best thing.
Right. And I guess quickly, first off, is that they didn't try to put down any of the Spider-Men. Because a lot of the tropes now have where the old meets the new one, and either the original can't stand the new one and he's seen as the bad guy, or the new one's put on his pedestal and the old one is outdated, you need to like this one. I like they didn't treat any of the Spider-Men like that when all three came together. Is that there's gonna be people, some people love all three or one or two or whatever. So just have them all be fun. And as you say, he accepted all the Spider-Men. So it was more like, okay, look, if he likes him, then we'll like him.
And then I like when they were talking about the web shoes.
Yeah.
And he was the only one who had the webs coming out.
Yeah, he
and they
said,
were like,
where did you get that? How come I don't have that? It's so much easier.
and then they were trying to figure out how to create whatever it was they were trying to create. He was going to each one like he was the science teacher.
Uh-huh.
It was just fantastic.
Right.
It was wonderful how he was with them. He was like the big brother, the spider dad, and
Right.
it was awesome. And I love how they had Tom Holland allowing him to be his version of Spider-Man. Tom Holland, he was like fanboying the entire time, just fanboying and wanting to hug
Right.
you, and I love you.
Right.
It was just so exciting, and as you said, it was great that they all got along, and it wasn't the hierarchy thing. It was fantastic.
Right. And another thing would be that when they were together, they didn't. There's a point in the movie where Tom Holland wanted vengeance on Green Goblin. And there's a key point in there where you're almost afraid that he was going to go down a really dark path. Because other two Spider-Men told him, like, you can't do that. You can't be angry. You can't kill him. And so what happened with you? With Andrew, yeah, he was angry and it cost him Gwen Stacy. For Tobey Maguire, he got vengeance, but it didn't help anything.
Right.
All he did was take him out, and that just made things worse for the guy because he came back.
Especially found out the truth
Yeah.
of what really happened.
Right. So for Tom Holland, it was more like advising him, don't do something you're not going to be able to take back. And for questionably quite a few people, they kind of hoped he was going to do that, like be on the verge of turning evil and get violent. Like, you do realize it's not that other version, right? I don't think they were just confused or what. But for the movie's sake, it was like, this would be the point of no return. He killed Green Goblin. He wouldn't be Spider-Man anymore. It would just be like, this would be a whole nother character. It would change the whole movie and everything. That's
Well, like the CW version of Spider-Man if they had one.
right.
And that's what the movie thing.
Right.
I think, I know, for me, the two best parts of this gathering was, of course, one, when they all landed
Yes.
on the landmark in their respective Spidey suits, and I was like, rewind it!
Yes.
Rewind
Yes.
it! Rewind it again! Rewind it again! That was awesome and fantastic, and you've seen it, and that was just brilliant. I was
Yes.
who thought of that, but they need to be given a raise and a promotion.
Right,
And the key to the city for the day, because that was
Right.
fantastic. And then the other part is I loved when, right before they left, and they were telling each other how they loved each other, and they hugged.
Yes.
And it was like, a big brown moment, like in Demon Slayer.
Spider-Man.
It was just feel good. No matter what was happening, you were loving it. So for me, this movie was awesome, fantastic. But it really came alive the moment Andrew Garfield came through from the other universe, all the way from there until they left. For me, was the most wonderful part of this movie.
Yes.
Seeing them all together.
Right, and everything about it was really genuine.
Yes.
You know, point in a movie where, like you said, it says, "I love you." I always wanted brothers.
Yes.
They all are brothers. And there's a point in there where, like, they kind of almost break the fourth wall. And just like, I can't do this stuff like you guys. I don't think they like me. And they're he's kind of like knowing, like, yeah, he knows. They're like, oh no, nothing's wrong with you. You're great. And it's not like being sarcastic or putting anything down. It's just like supporting him because he's still Spider-Man. And I really like that. Again, there was no putting down any version. We know each version is liked by somebody for everybody. So instead of putting one down or putting one on a pedestal and disregarding all the others, everyone was treated equally. Everyone was a great Spider-Man, and everyone was Big Bro Spider-Man.
And everyone got to show their strength, what made them great. And this is just brilliant. And I know that each one's going to get the number 4 and the number 3 respectively for Garfield and Tobey Maguire. What I really want is another Spider-Man movie with all of them in it.
Right.
That's what I want. Just make a movie and put all of them in it and be together throughout the entire movie. That's what I want, because that is one of the most historic and outstanding parts of a movie that's ever been. I mean,
yeah,
I could talk about that all day. I could watch that over and over and over. Absolutely brilliant, absolutely outstanding. Just one of the best things that's ever happened in cinematic history.
Yes.
It really is. So the great thing that also happened after that is that Tom Holland's Peter got to help the villains like he wanted to.
Right.
And to help send them back. And we know that it's going to, as you say, retcon each universe, because each person got to go back and have a second chance.
Right. So now this is why we're getting sequels to the 2 of the movies, because they're now linked to the MCU. And then, as he said, there are going to be another 3 Tom Holland movies, because the way the ending will spoil it for you. It's hinted that, whatever happened at the end isn't going to be permanent. It just seems like it. And they're going to try to fix some of the things that happened in there.
It's going to be interesting and change your mind. And not change and why it's not to.
Right.
So each of those outcomes is going to be interesting to see. I can't wait to see. Yeah. I'm really hoping, of course, that at some point they're going to put out names. The likelihood of that happening probably is very slim. But they didn't do it here, so most likely it's not going to happen. So we haven't seen this one. Well, we're pretty sure probably all of you have seen it.
Yes.
It's very sad. For me, very disappointing. And not how you wanted it to go. And you wanted better for his Spider-Man. It's like Holland's version of Spider-Man has the most horrific outcome.
Yes, and it's kind of weird that you say that, because I remember seeing one online, and I think a lot of people are used to having a sort of bittersweet ending to Spider-Man, because that's the most emotion it gets Spider-Man. Even for the ones who didn't like Tom Holland's version, like this movie, because how it ended, apparently the bittersweetness is part of Spider-Man, and because they delivered on that, this was praised for being emotional and hitting home with that. And I personally didn't care for it like that, but I guess it worked.
It was emotional and it did hit home.
Right.
I would say all of that is true. It's just I would have preferred a little more happiness for him. Now, one thing I do want to point out that we didn't say that did work out, and I'm so happy to see, is that Andrew Garfield Spider-Man got to feel better and feel happy about the outcome, because we know in his movies he wasn't able to save Miss Stacy. He broke her neck and her back, and he wasn't able to save her.
Right.
And here, if you haven't seen it, skip forward now. He got to save this universe's very game. He was screaming and so happy, and he was crying because he was so happy, because in this universe he got to save Mary Jane again. Another brilliant part of this movie. Praise and emotion. City. We're so happy to see his reaction again. Each one of these actors was such genuine performances, and their performances made you remember why each one was perfect in playing Spider-Man. Because I always say to Rascal that you have actors in performances like this, you know that a part of themselves is coming through it, and these are parts of their personality that they have. Right. They come through and create that character and connect with it. And it creates a rapport with the audience that a lot of other actors just can't do.
Right.
For these 3 actors, every single one, you were loving it, and all, their own parts of their own genuine personality paired with their performances just came through.
Mm-hmm.
And that one right there was just powerful. Now, that was emotional.
Right.
That was
hitting home.
Hitting home. That was fantastic, and we were so happy for that version of Peter to be able to do that. And now maybe his mind and heart can be to rest to some extent,
right?
Because there was an outcome and a change in this one,
right? And last thing I'm going to bring up for the movie is that the three Spider-Man being together is really popular now. It's all over the internet. Well, I guess now what comes next for this month for July is I gotta have my Spider-Marco spoof.
Yes.
Or connection with Dudley's universe and Sylveon's universe. So you get to see the three.
Excited!
Yes, get to see them talk to each other. Because I know we were really excited to see that too.
Yes, so we're all looking forward to that. But yes, that's going to be really exciting. So we know most of you have seen the movie, not all of you. Let us know what you think in the comments. If you see the theater, if you did love all the special features like we did, that was just a blast. That was just exciting. It made it so much better after the movie to see all the special features that we loved added and brilliantly placed. Things we hadn't seen on other DVDs, so that was fantastic. Let us know if you haven't seen it. What are you doing?
Right?
Get up and either rent it or buy it. You're missing out. You gotta see the Spider-Man movie. We personally have family members that have not watched superhero movies in ages or seen Spider-Man, but they watched this one.
Yes.
So if they can do it, you can do it.
Right.
And let us know what you think after you're done. We can't wait to hear and read your comment. Well, I can't wait to read your comments.
Right. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and weekly videos on your favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
And all the future Spider-Man movies, because there's no way we're going to miss these.
Right.
So we want to say thank you to Sony so much. Thank you to Marvel and Stanley for creating them. Thank you for just one of the best movies ever. Ever. And we really sincerely hope that each successive movie is just the same caliber and quality. These are the type of movies you really want to see that set the bar for other studios and other movies to do better and be better and to give audiences what they want and what they love, and this movie did it. So thank you, Sony. Congratulations on your success.
Yes.
You earned every penny, dime, nickel, dollar that you got.
Right.
And we're looking forward to what you have to put out for all of us.
Yes. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Master Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace. And remember, you always have a choice. And you can always choose to do the right thing.
And reporters sitting flashing like